Alright folks, today we're going to talk about safety behavior, the last worksheet under safety. What should you do if you break a piece of glassware? Well, do not clean it up. Do not clean. This is really strange, you know. Someone says, do not clean up your mess. No, please do not clean it up. Call me. Call the teacher. Alright, in all honesty, if we get cut when we're cleaning it up, that's fine. If you get cut, we have to fill out a million forms and keep them forever. So, bottom line is, if you break a piece of glassware, please let us clean it up. Okay. What action should you take if you spill a chemical on the lab table or on the floor? Well, it depends. It depends on what the chemical is. What if the chemical is water? Well, that's a chemical, right? So, if it's water, if it's something like salt water, just clean it up. Just grab some paper towels, clean it up. Right? Now, if it's an acid or a base or some other chemical that you feel is in any way potentially hazardous, then call one of us, right? And let us tell you what to do or let us clean it up. It all depends on what it is. Okay? And certainly if you don't know what it is, then definitely call us and let us go and clean it up. Okay? Leave that to a teacher. Right? Should you eat food in the lab? Well, you should eat food at your desk, but not at the lab, unless it's part of a lab experiment. And if it's part of a lab experiment where you're told you're allowed to eat it, that's fine. But make sure that it never touches a lab table, because you have no idea what has been on that lab table. Right? So the lab tables are dirty, they've got chemicals on them. So bottom line is, if you've protected the food from the lab table and what's on the table, then you're okay. Okay? But again, you shouldn't bring food into the lab. You should be eating that back at the tables in the front of the room. If you're removing a beaker that's been heated from your lab table or removing a hot plate, what precautions should you take? Right? You always assume that everything is hot. Assume it is hot. So assume that if you have a beaker that was on a hot plate, assume it's hot. Right? So always take precautions when you're moving something. Use gloves, use beaker tongs, use something to protect yourself to make sure that you're not actually touching something that is hot. Okay? When in doubt, call a teacher. Right. Where do your goggles belong? Well, there are two answers to this. Over your eyes. Yeah, you would have seen this in a previous one as well, but over your eyes is very important. And if they're not, and then they should be put away. So there's the goggle cabinet on the side of the room. So if they are cabinet, yeah, there's an NET. So either on your eyes or in the goggle cabinet. They don't just belong lying on a table somewhere. And they certainly don't belong on top of your head. In the event of a fire drill or a real fire and you are working in the lab, what's the first thing to do? Right? Well, the first thing to do is secure your lab. And when we say secure your lab, what we mean is unplug. For example, if you have a hot plate going, unplug it. Because even if this is a fire drill, that's fine. But if it were a real fire, you have no idea how long it's going to be before you're going to get it back inside. Okay, so unplug things and turn off anything flammable. So if you have gas jets going on, turn off the gas. Make sure it's off. If your partner were on fire, what should you do? Well, it depends on the size of the fire. If it's the sleeve of their shirt, put it out. You can do that with another piece of clothing, for example. You smother it and put the fire out. Okay, that's the fastest thing to do. Do not go looking for the fire blanket. Okay, unless the fire is too big to put out with just grabbing another shirt or grabbing a jacket or something. Okay. In that case, you go get the fire blanket, or if you yell at one of the teachers and we tell you to put them under the shower, then that's what we'll do. But by that time, a fire of that size should never happen in our lab. Okay. To be safe, do you add acid to water or do you add water to acid? This is one of the most common mistakes that people make. Acid is added to water. So add acid to water, not the other way around. I don't care how you remember that, but I always remember A&W root beer. But anyway, add acid to water. Very important. How do you safely smell a chemical? You can waft it towards you. So that's the idea, is you never stick your nose right over a chemical. Right? So hold it away from you and you'll waft the smell towards yourself. Okay? And that's the way you safely smell a chemical. And before leaving the lab, what's the last thing to do? Well, the last thing you should always do after you've made sure your lab is secure, after you put all your chemicals away, after you've washed everything up and everything's back to normal, you'll wash your hands. Okay? Because when you leave and then you go to lunch or you get a snack or whatever, or you touch something else, you want to make sure that your hands are clean and don't have any residue of chemicals on them. So make sure you wash your hands. All right, folks, that's it. Hope you have a great day. See you in class if you have any questions. And take care. Bye.